I'm going to tell you about the one night no girl ever talks about out loud. Her first night. When the door closed, the room smelled of roses, but my hands were ice cold. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I sat on the edge of the bed, head down, and waiting. My name is Julia. For most of my life, I was just a girl from a small town, a quiet place. Everyone there knew my name, but very few people truly knew my heart. At 22, I stood at the beginning of a new life. Like many women before me, I carried so many dreams inside. I dreamed of a love that felt safe, a gentle touch, not a rough one. A partner who would look at me and see more than just a wife. Someone who would see a soul worth knowing. I wanted to feel beautiful, not only in the mirror, but also in the eyes of the man I would call mine. But beneath all those bright dreams, there was fear, a deep, cold fear that never left me. It was the fear of the unknown, the fear of my first night. We live in a world where such moments are hidden behind whispers and warnings. For years, I had listened to so many different stories. My friends spoke quietly about pain. My cousins told me about tears and awkward moments. Even the internet gave me a confusing mix of magic and trauma. I was trapped between two extremes. I did not know if I would come out of that room laughing or broken. I did not know which version of Julia would walk out the next morning. The wedding day itself was overwhelming. It was a blur of forced smiles for the camera. The heavy smell of jasmine filled the air. Prayers were chanted in a steady rhythm, and my own tears kept falling. When the time came to leave my parents' home, my feet felt so heavy. Every step toward the car was a step away from the only safety I had ever known. My heart felt like a stone in my chest. By the time we reached his family's house, my new home, I felt empty inside. The welcome was warm. The faces were kind, but I felt like a stranger in my own skin. My hands were ice cold. My throat was dry. I kept the polite smile that every bride is expected to wear, but inside, I was shaking. When the last guests left, the house became quiet. Someone led me to our room. The air was thick with the smell of red roses and expensive perfume. It was sweet, almost too sweet, and in my nervous state, it felt like it was choking me. I sat on the edge of the bed. My eyes were fixed on my lap. I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. It sounded like a drumbeat of fear. It was louder than the silence of the room. My fingers were locked together so tightly they turned white, but I could still feel the shaking in my arms and legs. I could not think. I could only exist in that terrible state of waiting. Then I heard the sound I had been dreading, the soft creak of the door. I did not look up. I did not have the courage. I just felt the air shift as he walked in. This man was my husband. That title had been given by law and ceremony just a few hours before, but he was still a stranger to me. I heard his slow, careful footsteps. My breathing became shallow. My lips pressed tightly together like a wall of defense. I waited for the rush. I waited for the demand. I waited for the expectation. But he did not rush. He sat down on the bed. He kept a respectful distance between us. That distance felt like a gift. For a long minute, there was only the sound of our breathing. Then he spoke. His voice was not the commanding tone I had feared. It was soft. It was gentle. It carried the warmth of a fire on a cold night. "Julia," he whispered, "I know how difficult this is. I want you to know right now that I will never force anything. I do not want to start our life together with a shadow. I just want to talk to you." That voice was like cool water on a burn. Slowly, I lifted my eyes. I looked at him. I really looked at him for the first time. He was not the scary figure from my nightmares. He looked nervous. He had the expression of someone trying to calm a frightened bird, not a man trying to claim a prize. In that moment of weakness, I found a strange and steady peace. My respect for him took root right there, in that shared moment of being human. He reached for a glass of water. He offered it to me. As I took it, our fingertips touched. It was a tiny moment of contact, but it sent a wave through me. Not a wave of fear, a wave of something new, something electric. My face grew hot.
I looked away again without thinking.
He let out a small, honest laugh. You do not have to be afraid of me, Julia. I promise I am not as scary as I might look. That little joke broke the wall between us. I found myself smiling, a small, real smile. He started to talk then, not about big, romantic things, but about the ordinary and the embarrassing. He told me about his own nerves. He said his heart had been racing before he walked through the door. He told me about the silly mistakes he had made during the ceremony. I had always been told that men were strong and driven by instinct on this night. But here he was, admitting that he felt the same fragility I felt. His honesty melted away the layers of my terror one by one. The conversation slowly turned into a comfortable silence. He looked into my eyes. His expression was gentle and searching.
May I hold your hand?
He asked. It was the fact that he asked for permission that changed everything. I nodded. He reached out and wrapped my hand in his. His grip was firm. It was protective, but it was also incredibly soft. He did not squeeze. He simply held my hand as if it were something precious. His thumb traced slow, gentle circles over my skin, and the rhythm of my heartbeat began to change. The fast, panicked beating was replaced by a sweet, warm pulse. It was a kind of closeness I had not prepared for, a quiet, private connection. It made my skin feel alive in a way it never had before. He leaned in slightly, but he still kept a respectful distance. I want tonight to be whatever you need it to be, he said. If that means we just talk, then we just talk. I want you to feel safe in this room. I want you to know that you are protected here, even from me. When he said those words, something broke open inside me. Tears began to fall down my cheeks. I could not stop them. They were not tears of sadness. They were tears of deep, deep relief. I had spent months preparing for a battle, and instead, I had found a partner. I had imagined the worst kind of man, and I was being met with the best. He did not look away. He did not become uncomfortable with my tears. Instead, he reached out. He gently wiped the tears from my face with his thumb. That touch on my cheek was so tender, it made me close my eyes. It was not a touch of desire. It was a touch of deep care. Then he leaned forward. He pressed a long, warm kiss to my forehead. That kiss felt like a promise being sealed. It was not about my body. It was about my soul. It was a promise of a lifetime of respect. We have all the time in the world, Julia, he whispered against my skin. Let us make tonight about love, not about pressure. After some time, we lay down side by side. He pulled me into his arms. I rested my head against his chest. The steady beat of his heart became my new anchor. It was strong. It was unwavering. In its sound, I finally felt at home. We did not rush into anything. There was no wild, movie-like passion, just a slow, careful building of trust. He stroked my hair. He ran his fingers gently along my arm.
And when he finally moved to kiss my lips, I did not pull away. I did not feel the need to hide. I met him there because I was ready, and because I trusted the man who had earned that readiness. It was new, it was a little awkward, and it was perfectly human. We were not characters in a movie. We were two people learning the language of each other for the first time, but because it was built on a foundation of safety, it was beautiful. When I look back on that night now, I do not think about the details or the nerves. I think about the way he made me feel seen. I think about the power of a man who chooses kindness over control. I share this story because I want every girl who stands where I once stood to know something important. Your first night belongs to you. It is not a debt to be paid. It is not a test to be passed. It should be a place of comfort, a bridge of connection, a meeting of two hearts, not just two bodies. And to the men who will walk into those rooms, be the person who gives that safety. True closeness does not begin with a touch. It begins with a promise that she is safe, that she is heard, that she is respected. That is where real love begins. That is how a marriage truly starts. Thanks for listening to my story. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button for Learn English by Stories. Drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from.